Artifact. That which we foolishly call truth is only a small island in a vast sea of the unknown.
A new edition is upon us. And I think it's about time we talked about Legion Consuls. All Centurions can upgrade to become a Consul, and each Consul has its own benefits and restrictions. These, like any Praetor, take up a HQ slot and may also be a Warlord. In the base book there are 16 unaligned Consuls, though each Legion also has its own unique take on the concept. Today we're going to begin with a little bit of a tier list. Now, instead of going in depth at this point in time, this is just to give you an overview about, at a glance of a hat, what could be useful for you and what is less useful. And of course, what you'll have to wait a while to see if it has any use. Heading up the pack, we have what is most useful in the most general of terms. We have our Librarians, the Swiss Army knife of possibilities. Heralds with the power to turn your Death Star into a scoring threat. Vigilators who remove the squishy obstacles in your path. The Delegatus, who replaces your Praetor and gives you a true leader for your army. Chaplains who lead your assaults and help bring success. And the Master of Signals, to frustrate your opponent and help you control the battlefield. While not every army would want every single one of these Consuls, most armies will be able to get value out of 2 or 3 of these. The Delegatus in particular is a universal tool that any army can take instead of their Praetor. The Librarian, a similar toolkit which has value in any army. Something like a Chaplain might not find as much use in a gunline army, but for those of you who need it, it is a powerful tool. Then we come to the niche use cases. Not every army is going to want one of these, but they can be a valuable tool for your army if you've built around them. We have the Moritat, a damage-focused Consul who puts out a whirlwind of wounds. The Siegebreaker, there to help you push through armored targets, and also to fill your army with phosphex. The Medicae, the back line of your Terminators, and the only way to give them a feel no pain. The Champion, a blade on the cheap, equal to a Praetor in combat, but at a discount price. The Mortificator, a specialized tech marine who takes care of a contemptor and stops it from receiving harm. And the Armistos, a very cheap way to bring war gear and heavy weapons into the squad of your choice. All of these units have value, but your particular army design will determine if they're right for you. And then we come to the rest. The first 3, the Esoterist, the Praevian, and the Forge Lord, rely on a mechanic that brings units from other armies into an Astartes army. They have potential value, but without having those books available yet, it is hard to determine how much value they actually have. The Forge Lord, though, is better than a tech marine, so maybe that'll find some use in your army. The Pathfinder, however, is a special exception. It gains some interesting abilities, and it is fully functional as it is, but its drawbacks are immense. You must wear scout armor, you gain a master-crafted shotgun, and you lose the ability to get around quickly. It's a grab bag of interesting abilities that suffers from not really giving anything of value for the cost in the HQ slot. Why would you pick this when you could take a Vigilator for 25 more points? Each Legion also has its own specific Consuls that will not be covered in this video, but you can look forward to that at a later time. The Legion Librarian, the battle psychers of the army. These beings are expensive, but come with unique perks. Not only do you get a free force weapon and a psychic attack as standard, but you can also take a psychic hood to reduce the enemy leadership, at least in regards to psychic attacks and attempts. They're a Swiss Army knife, and they're filled with unique tools. They can improve almost any army. They have access to 6 universal disciplines, Biomancy, which can improve the strength and the toughness of the unit that it is cast upon. Divination, which adds precision strikes. Pyromancy, which can create damaging hazards in your battlefield. Telekinesis, that can give a 6-up invulnerable aura for any attack that comes from outside of 8 inches, or with a bit of a gamble on a 4-up. Telepathy, which allows you to stop the reactions from an opposing unit. And Thaumaturgy, a useful way to heal both flesh and steel alike. There are also unique Legion-specific disciplines, though we won't be covering them this time. You also gain a unique psychic weapon based on the discipline that you choose, and as for whether it's worth it, you can make it worth it. You're getting a toolkit that is entirely unique, something that can help you with your goals no matter what they may be. While this may be one of the most expensive consoles, the value that is gained is immense. You can shore up the defenses in your list, or provide you with a needed boost at a key moment. The Legion Herald is the chosen emissary of your Primarch. Their banners both inspire the troops around them and enact fear in the hearts of their opponents. They have the unique ability to grant line to the unit that they're attached to, and as such they can be the perfect supplement to your heavily armored Death Star. Line is not as common as many of us could want in this new edition, but this Herald could be a make or break in lists that struggle to field as many foot soldiers as required. Specifically, the Herald in Cataphractii armor can assist your Legion-specific Terminators, and create a situation where your opponent has to answer and play around these monsters, possibly leading to them overcommitting while you focus your efforts elsewhere. This is a cheap and cheerful upgrade that adds immense value, and for any list that needs that extra line, well, you're in luck. While it is easy to turn to a Praetor to lead your forces, don't underestimate the option of bringing a skilled leader instead of a warrior to guide your forces. The Delegatus is a powerful voice on the battlefield. They gain the Master of the Legion rule, and can be included in armies of less than 1,000 points. They also gain Rally the Legion, a unique ability that their Praetor brothers lack. Once per battle, they can activate this, and rally the troops within line of sight. This will call all who are pinned or falling back to return to normal status and be able to act as per normal. This is a surprise, but a welcome one. It's a budget Praetor with an ability that can't be matched. It might only be once per game, but using it at a key moment can really upset the balance of power. Just remember that all of this is still cheaper than getting a Praetor themselves, even with their upgrades. Your Praetor is a beatstick. Your Delegatus is a leader. The Legion Vigilators are the eyes of their legion on the ground, and also the scalpel blade that removes the biggest threats. They gain the ability to mark a unit for death, which allows the Vigilator and their unit to reroll all failed hit rolls of 1 against them. You also can choose between Scout, the ability to redeploy within 6 inches, including outside of your deployment zone, or Infiltrate, and set up anywhere on the board as long as it is outside of 9 inches from the enemy and they cannot draw line of sight to you, or 12 inches if they are in plain sight. Their Master Sniper rule gives their weapons innate rending 2 and shell shock 2. All this, combined with a master-crafted Nemesis Bolter, ensures that the Vigilator is a truly cutthroat option. A recon squad filled with Nemesis Bolters headed by a Vigilator will be a fearsome sight on the battlefield. They are a sergeant killer, a squad pinner, and they will rip apart the key parts of your opposing army. The Legion Chaplain is here to create a cohesive tip for the spear of your army. These fearsome warriors give stubborn and hatred towards everything for the unit they are attached to. They ignore negative leadership modifiers on morale and pinning tests. And Hatred allows you to reroll all failed hits during the first round of each close combat, as long as you are charged or were charging. This also resets when you are charged while already engaged in combat, creating another round of glorious combat. Topped off with a master-crafted weapon, the Chaplain is a wonderful tool, provided that you have a weapon to attach him to. He might not see use in every army, but for many non-gunline lists, this will be an auto-include. Put him on your front line with a unit who intends to get face-to-face with your opponents, and you're going to have a great time. The Master of Signals is a communication specialist, capable of directing the flow of battle around them. Their unique ability, Strategic Comms, allows for one friendly unit a turn to take a morale or pinning test with this unit's leadership, and you get to reroll all reserve rolls during the course of the battle. They come with a slew of war gear, including a Cognos Signum, a Vox Disruptor, an Augury Scanner, and a Nuncio Vox. This gives the Master of Signals the ability to uniquely disrupt deep strikes, drop pod assaults, subterranean assaults, and infiltration. He also removes many of the negatives for night fighting, and has the ability to choose to not shoot to give the rest of his unit a +1 to their ballistic skill. The Nuncio Vox allows you to re-roll your scatter dice as well, allowing him to support your bombardments on the field. Whether this kit is useful for you depends entirely on who you're fighting and your army list itself. You're able to disrupt your opponents and control the flow of the battle in a way that no other Consul truly can. There is the opportunity that the disruptor affects you as well, but if you go into a battle knowing what sort of list you're bringing, you can help mitigate this before the battle even begins. The Master of Signals is also never truly useless. Even if you are fighting in the middle of the day against an opponent who has no form of trickery or infiltration, their unique abilities are still useful, and for a minor points increase over the cost of a base Centurion, can find value in most armies. The Moritat is said to be no less than death incarnate, but their dishonorable nature makes it difficult to field them, depending on your list. Bitter Duty ensures that they can only be placed with other rare units that also have Bitter Duty. But Scout and Power Attack are a useful set of abilities for this unique Consul. The Moritat will make great use of chain fire, using its dual pistols to put shot after shot into the target of your choice. This killer really shines in a legion that has access to some non-standard weaponry. Specifically, the Grav and Warp Fire pistols are quite intense. Even without access to these rarer weapons, the base Volkite Serpentas and access to rad grenades ensure that the Moritat is never going to be ineffective. The Wreckers of cities and Shatterers of walls. The Siegebreaker is your artillery specialist. They both gain and give out Sunder, allowing you to re-roll failed armor penetration rolls. They also have a unique kit that includes a Nuncio Vox and 3 Phosphex bombs. Where they really shine is their ability to give Phosphex to your artillery, your rapiers, your arquitors, and your mortars. For a fairly cheap price, you can start spreading the eerie green flame throughout the battlefield and create dangerous hazards that both suit you and frustrate your opponent. While this Consul will not see use in every list, it is perfect for those who want to take advantage of its unique benefits. It's also worth noting the specific value of combining this with the Master of Signals. Their ability to direct your blasts and disrupt your opponents is a 1-2 combo that should be explored. The Primus Medicae is a fairly niche unit. Their main purpose is to give a 5-aught feel no pain to your favored Terminators. They're not cheap, but they are an insurance policy, and one that only improves if you are running one of the few legions that gains access to their Sacred Trust. Sacred Trust will allow you to reroll It Will Not Die rolls, which most legions do not have access to. However, if you are an Iron Hands, a Salamander, or a World Eater, this might be of specific use to you. The Legion Champion is also a niche unit that gains a Praetor stat line on a budget. Their weapon skill 6 and Paragon Blade means that they are a formidable force on the battlefield. And their cheap cost is enticing. But Never Back Down could be a double-edged sword because there's always a bigger fish. There's nothing particularly wrong with the champion, but when you look at the other consuls, I struggle to see a place for them. If you are particularly lacking in beatsticks and you feel a Praetor level threat will improve your army, then go for it. But personally, I'll be taking one of the other toolkits in the Consul Armory. The Armistos is a walking arsenal. They gain the heavy subtype, but they also gain an augury scanner and a cognisignum. They have the unique benefit of being cheaper than a tech marine with equal war gear, with the added benefit of having a heavy weapons profile to add on top, and mastercrafted at that. They're cheap, they're versatile, and they're not for every army. But if you need the cognisignum and the augury, you're already slotting them into your list. But maybe it's worth thinking about whether the Master of Signals is worth splashing the extra points on. Is that heavy weapon really better than the bonuses that the Master of Signals gives? That's up for you to decide. The Mortificator sits in a strange spot within our list of consuls. Their entire existence revolves around protecting and boosting the survivability of a Contemptor Dreadnought. Keeper of the Dead allows them to uniquely attach themselves to a Contemptor Dreadnought talent of exactly one Contemptor. And Ancient Devotion bestows an It Will Not Die roll to their friend, but what is really the point of this? Contemptors are extremely difficult to kill, and you've got a consul whose entire job is to babysit one single model. This is made worse by the fact that Contemptors are already extremely hard to kill. Making something that is hard to kill even harder could have its benefits, but wouldn't you rather put those points elsewhere? Shore up some other defense that needs a little bit of assistance? This isn't to say this is a useless consul. I'm sure people will use it to great effect, but not every army will need this. Not every army will have Contemptors. Not every army will want to babysit them. There could be some fun trickery with this though. Certain legions can add Psyker abilities onto their HQs. Giving this a discipline, maybe thaumaturgy, would certainly be an interesting combo. And so we come to the end of the video. I hope this has demonstrated that consuls are pretty fluffy and well priced. They have unique abilities, they have some pretty fantastic kits that you can't get elsewhere, and they're also, for the most part, incredibly cheap. For those of you who gleefully flipped through our brand new Liber Astartes and perhaps didn't give much attention to the scant few pages dedicated to consuls, I hope this has given you a bit of an eye-opener to their potential value and unique benefits. Do you need to run consuls? No, you could run a Praetor and ignore your HQ slots. But these consuls are there to be used. They're there to make your army unique and fluffy and enjoyable. The changes to Psykers are especially interesting. The Librarian is going to see a lot of use. And units like the Praevian and the Esoterist are likely to allow you to modify your army in a way that you just really couldn't before. While we don't know the extent of the value of things like summoning a horde of demons, it brings up some interesting tactical choices. If you ever wanted to be a loyalist army that fights fire with fire, the Esoterist really could be up your alley. If you've always stared at the robots of the Mechanicum and wished you could include them, well, soon you can. Either way, I think this is a great start to a new chapter in the Horus Heresy. And as time goes by, I hope you'll join me as I explore the nooks and crannies that this world has to offer. Next up, we will have Legion Consuls and, of course, those unique Legion disciplines. Special shout out to all of the artists I have used in this video. I've tried to credit them as best as I could. If you are an owner of this art and you'd like me to point towards a different place and add it into the text box, let me know. Always happy to do so. Thanks for joining me. I'm Hartifact, and I'll see you next time.